everybody's talking about Web3, everybody's talking about, you know, there's something we need to do, etc. It's still not easy, right, to do anything. What do you think needs to happen? What do we need to see happen so that there's a bigger endorsement or engagement from, you know, the everyday person? Yeah. What's the biggest barrier that you see to entry for consumers who want to get into Web3, and what is it that maybe we as a community, as brands, as marketers, we can try to do to help our consumers get into Web3 easier?
I'll take, there's a few parts to that question.
Yes, there was.
No, it's fine. I'll try and remember all of them. The first one, so the barriers, I mean, it's just that. There are still a lot of barriers. It's still quite clunky. So I think finding, you know, choosing how to open a wallet and all of that is still quite a clunky process. I mean, we have sessions at AllBright, just workshops on how to open your crypto wallet. Yeah. Education. And that's also an interesting point, that this space is no longer just for gamers. Right? It's so much more than that. So I think as the technology improves and removing those barriers are really important, because when it becomes an easy consumer experience, seamless consumer behavior, that's when it's going to have widespread adoption. And then as brands, what we can do is facilitate that by being present in the space. So there's no good or bad. There's no good way to launch an NFT or bad way to launch an NFT. Some are more successful than others, but it's just innovating in the space and being present. And the more brands are in the space, the more mainstream it becomes, and that'll force different consumer behavior, because a brand that you really resonate with or have affinity with is in that space, so you're going to want to go in and check it out, right? So I think as marketeers, it's just not being afraid to experiment in this space and just innovate, and that in some ways quite exciting. You know, in a world where I know, you know, budgets are always tight and it's very ROI driven, it's nice to have a place where you can experiment and be creative. And I think now's the time to do it, because that's where the consumer will be in the future. So the more brands get involved, the more mainstream it becomes, the more it can influence behavior. Yeah,
and I think, you know, from my point of view, if I can add to what you're saying, brands historically have tried to build sort of, you know, ramparts around their audiences to keep them to themselves, right? And in this world, I think we as marketers, as brand people, need to be conscious that we have to make it easy for people so that they don't have to open an exclusive wallet with us, right, to participate. It's like the idea of an exclusive anything in Web3 is just adding more barriers and adding more difficulty. It's complicated enough that you need to have, like, you know, multiple wallets today if you want to do something with Ethereum or Bitcoin or Solana or, you know, Metatask or whatever. It's like, my recommendation to brands is, like, don't try to build something of your own, something that where you're going to build that inbuilt audience. That's not the point. The point is to make it open, interoperable. Pick a platform. It doesn't matter which platform it is, and embrace that platform. Make it as open and easy for people to come into your universe. Don't try to create something that's closed or exclusive.
Yeah. And you've seen that in the last 18 months, a lot of brands coming into the space, and they're doing it through an existing Web3 platform, because creating something of your own it's just too much work. My starting point is also, like, what problem are you trying to solve, and why should you be in this space? So for us, it was, you know, the problem we were trying to solve is making sure that there's a community and women are in this space. And that was our starting point. So making sure that, like, you authentically have a reason to be in that space, because not everyone should be. I mean, ideally they would, but not everyone should be. So that's always the starting point, about what problem am I trying to solve, who am I trying to target, and then just start.
Yeah, absolutely, that's right.